Hi, GERO 200. It's the two of us today. We're talking about legal issues. So since I'm a lawyer, I'm sitting in. And it's week 12. Your CT1 is due on Monday, which is tomorrow, April 1st. Sorry about that. You also have your week 11 quiz and discussion due tomorrow, Monday, April 1st. Sorry about that too. But it is what it is. We have to get through everything.
That's right. You guys are in school. You know what? The way you look at it, it's a job. You know?
That's right. Do your best.
And based on USC's tuition, you're getting paid $100,000 a year to do this. Well, now you're paying us $100,000 a year to do this. Okay, but still,
not us. We do not get that much.
Right. But your parents. Okay.
Right. So let me know if you have any questions about CT1. I'll be watching my email and my text tomorrow.
Yeah, it's super fun. If you guys didn't figure it out, we changed it this semester compared to others. We use the AARP website.
A better calculator.
Much better calculator, much more accurate in terms of the federal limits. And so super fun, super fun. It's good just to see your money grow, having your money work for you. That's what this was all about right here. Now we're going to have your attorney work for you, all right? And we're going to go right into this. All righty, lecture's going right here when we're done, guys.
Okay, so we're talking about living wills and power of attorney for healthcare this week. And these are documents that you really should have in place once you reach the age of 18. It's a good idea because you could be in an accident, you could be in a coma, you could have a brain injury, you could be unconscious and not able to make healthcare decisions for yourself. Desi's very concerned about these issues himself. And wants to support you.
All right, keep talking. That's me now. I just changed.
It's a little pet therapy.
There's John Walsh.
It's a little pet therapy. He's a very sweet boy. Okay, let's focus. Okay, so once you're 18, it's a good idea to have a living will, or I prefer a power of attorney for healthcare. So that if you become unable to make your own healthcare decisions, you can nominate an agent, just like you hire a real estate agent when you buy a house. You can nominate an agent to make those decisions for you, or you can use a living will to communicate with your doctor about what your wishes would be for end-of-life care. Of course, for me as a cancer patient, this is something I think about a lot. What do I want to have happen if I'm really sick in the hospital? How many heroic efforts do I want to be made or not made on my behalf? And how do I want my family to handle this? So it's a hard subject to talk about. A lot of people are very uncomfortable talking about this subject. There's a lot of good tools online to help you have this conversation with your loved ones, with your parents, with your family members, so that you all know what the other person wants.
And God forbid you get a head injury and you become brain dead. The way the brain works, there are certain parts of the brain that will keep you breathing, and you're still able to. Your digestive system has its own brain. You can be alive for years and years and years. Is that what you want? Well, that's something you have to figure out.
Yeah, it depends on your own point of view.
And your state.
Yes. So open up the reading, which is a nice, simple, short reading from the NIH that gives you tips for advanced care planning.
There's the NIH right there. It's the National Institute, the subset, the National Institute on Aging. Let's get a little bigger here.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So what is an advance directive? It's a legal document. So in the US, our doctors are very worried about legal malpractice, medical malpractice, and being sued if they make the wrong call for a patient. So when you have this legal document that tells your doctor either this is how I want things to be handled, or this is the person that I want to make healthcare decisions for me, it will be great for your doctors. It'll give them a lot of security. And it's also good for your other family members because you deputize one person to make decisions. So if you're not able to make your own decisions, then you say, I want this other person to make decisions for me. I want my agent to make decisions for me. And the sorts of things that you have to decide are, do I want CPR? Do I want to be on a ventilator? Do I want artificial nutrition hydration? Do I want comfort care like pain meds, breathing help, meds for anxiety? And this is a very, very individual decision. Do I want CPR? If you're young and healthy, CPR is really important. We have people that are in their teens or 20s, their hearts might stop for some reason. Give them CPR. Use a defibrillator to bring them back, and then they're going to live long and happy lives. On the other hand, if you're a terminal cancer patient, CPR is not really going to do much for you. If you look at the statistics, the younger and healthier you are, the more likely it is to work and bring you back and for you to have a normal life. The older and sicker you are, the less likely CPR is to be effective. So that's a conversation to have with your doctor about, do I want CPR if my heart stops?
And, your parents and your grandparents, Julie's, reflecting on, these old age issues, and we've gone over this all semester long, if you're at the end of the road, do you really want, the quality of life is not there. Do you want
if
things
the
to
chance
keep going?
of the CPR working is maybe less than 1%.
Yeah, so.
Do I want to be on a ventilator? A lot of people would say, oh, I'd never want to be on an artificial respirator or a ventilator, a breathing machine. And then after COVID happened, we started to realize that some people could be very sick in the intensive care unit and on a ventilator for a period of time, even weeks, and then make a full recovery, come out of the hospital and be okay. So we probably look at ventilator use a little bit differently. And it's also very common in these living wills to say, do a trial period, try the ventilator for a week or so to see if it's going to help, to see if that gives the doctor time to treat my underlying illness. Do I want artificial nutrition hydration? If you're at the end of life, that can prolong your life in a way that may not be helpful. A lot of hospice nurses will recommend that when someone is on hospice, that family members stop giving them liquids because the liquids will then pool in their lungs and make it difficult for them to breathe. So again, it's very specific to your situation, your condition, and a conversation that you would have with healthcare practitioners.
How long was Terry? There was a famous case, Terry Schiavo.
Terry Schiavo was alive for many, many years, receiving spoon feeding because she was still able to swallow and aid in feeding. And then finally, after a big court battle, they removed nutrition hydration, and she did pass away.
She was in Florida too, so it was sticky there in terms of laws.
Do you want comfort care? My niece's husband is a recovered alcoholic. He's very anti-pain meds, and that was his thing. When his mom was in hospice care, she did not want pain meds because she was a recovered addict. So you might have a history that says, well, I don't want that, but I want this. There's a kind of a menu that you can choose. Do I want medication for anxiety, but I don't want opioids? That's fine. That's a conversation you can have with your loved ones or with your doctor.
And in our present medical culture, opioids are the go-to. So
yeah. Hospice care versus palliative care. I want to talk about that a little bit. A lot of times people don't understand the difference. In order to be eligible for hospice care in the United States, you need to be terminal, and you need to be expected to pass away within a relatively short period of time, 90 days. So for hospice care, you're not going to be treated for your underlying illness. You will get medication that helps you, treat anxiety, that helps you breathe comfortably, that helps you with pain. But you're not going to get antibiotics for pneumonia, or chemotherapy for cancer or things like that. So,
and that's the big difference. Palliative care, whole different story.
Yeah. So hospice care is intended to make the person comfortable while they're dying. The average person in hospice care probably gets to hospice care a little bit late.
This one needs comfort care.
He does need comfort care. He says, I prefer some meds for anxiety right now.
Okay.
So anyway, so most people spend less than 2 weeks in hospice care. I'm a big fan of hospice care. I've experienced it with my family members and with John's mom. It's great. It's wonderful. They provide great support for the families.
It's hard. Believe me, basically you're watching your loved one fade away, So,
but the nurses do a good job of
Yes.
explaining what to expect and guiding the families. So I think there's when hospice care is done well, it's wonderful. When it's done poorly, it's really bad.
Yeah.
Now, palliative care, you could be someone, for example, with metastatic breast cancer, and maybe your life expectancy is more than a decade. but you have this long-term chronic illness and you might have pain, you might have trouble breathing, you might have various symptoms that make you uncomfortable. And palliative care helps improve your quality of life by treating and managing those underlying symptoms. So if you have difficulty breathing because you have liquid that's in your lungs or in your abdomen, then they would manage that. So you'd have a team of healthcare practitioners that will provide care to help you stay comfortable and help improve your quality of life, whether your life expectancy is 2 years or 10 years or 50 years. And so it's a really great thing, palliative care, for people who have serious chronic illnesses.
So, well, if you went into the hospital then, and so you would have your oncologist that'd be treating you, and you're in the hospital, whatever, or even if you're at home, then if they saw that, then they would say, "Oh, I need to contact the palliative care doctors," and then
Yeah,
work
they
as a
might,
team.
and then create a team for you.
Yeah.
And so sometimes a doctor says to a patient, "Oh, I'm going to recommend you for palliative care," and the patient freaks out because they're confusing palliative care with hospice care, and they think, "Oh, that means the doctor thinks I'm terminal." No, it just means the doctor thinks you have symptoms that could be managed in a way that would
And
make you more comfortable.
there are studies that show that palliative care improves the outcomes for the treatment of the underlying condition.
Yes,
So,
and there's actually studies that show that people who opt for hospice care live longer and have a better quality of life than people who don't go on to hospice care. So there's benefits with both programs. So think about what you want. Talk to your loved ones about what you want. John and I have the conversation. He keeps coming back.
because his sister's gone, and he's like, well, then, and Mama is everything.
It's too early for dinner, so
Go away.
I don't know.
Hey, just get out. Get out.
So anyway, all right, communicate with your loved ones. And like I said, I like a durable power of attorney for healthcare, which is what I have in place. It's what John has in place. I have it set up so that my oldest son is John's my number one person. I like having layers of protection. My number two person is my oldest son, who's 28. My number three person is my younger son, who's 22, almost 23. And I would trust any of those people to make decisions for me if I'm not able to make my own decisions.
So I'm the surrogate or agent.
You're the agent. Just like you hire a real estate agent, I'm naming you my agent, and I've talked to you about what I want. And so if I'm not able to make my decisions, then my doctor, if we show him that power of attorney, would trust you to make decisions, consulting with the doctor about what to do. And again, it's a very United States American thing to have these durable power of attorney for healthcare or living wills. It's starting to spread around the world because we have an aging population around the world. So we're seeing in South Korea and in other Asian countries that they're starting to roll out advanced directives as an experiment. And when we talk to older adults in a lot of different countries, not just the US, they say, yeah, I don't want to be a burden on my loved ones. And I really like the idea about being able to say in advance what I would like to have done if I became seriously ill and was at the end of life. So I want to talk a little bit about living wills. Living wills are documents that you sign and you give to your doctor that say, if I'm at the end of life, this is what I want. I'm dying. I'm permanently unconscious. I can't make my own decisions. And then typically you'll have a good living will, a detailed living will, would have a lot of different options. So yes, I want comfort care. I want CPR. I don't want CPR. I want to be on a ventilator. Try it for a week. Or no, I never want to be on a ventilator. I want artificial nutrition and hydration, or I want it for a week, or I never want artificial nutrition hydration.
And you can have the written component and give it to your proxy, so they are not doing it on the fly.
And a lot of things, for example, the power of attorney for healthcare that we have is a little bit of a combination of a living will and a power of attorney for healthcare, so it has both instructions for end of life and a broad power of attorney for healthcare, so that, let's say I develop dementia, John could take me to the dentist and say, go ahead and clean her teeth, or go ahead and fill that cavity, or take me to the dermatologist and have a minor procedure done. So it covers routine medical care before end of life in terms of the power of attorney. The other thing that you hear a lot of people talk about are do not resuscitate orders, or PULSE or MOLS, which is a physician order for life-sustaining treatment. So a do not resuscitate or resuscitate order is typically when you're admitted to the hospital and you have a very serious illness, or you're in a nursing home and you have a very serious illness and you know you're older. They may say, do you want CPR or a defibrillator to restore your heartbeat if your heart stops? And so they'll ask you, and they'll make a note in your chart, and the doctor will sign an order, a do not resuscitate order, so that you're not kept alive beyond when you would want to be kept alive. A physician order for life-sustaining treatment, a PULSE, and in New York it's called a MOLST, which is a medical order for life-sustaining treatment, gives you more options. It says, yes, I want CPR. Yes, I want nutrition, hydration. Yes, I want comfort care. So it has a little bit more detail. It's becoming more popular. More and more states are adopting these PULSE. And so that's another thing that you could talk about with your doctor and have. So you wouldn't really need a PULSE or a DNR until you're closer to end of life. So you've been diagnosed with a very serious, potentially terminal illness and closer to the end of life, then you might think about having a DNR. So you don't really need a DNR when you're 18. Who do you want to be your power of attorney, your agent for healthcare? Someone that understands and shares your values, someone that you feel comfortable talking about, someone that you feel is reliable, someone who's available. So you probably want someone who lives close to you, who's the kind of person that if they get the phone call that you're in the hospital, will be able to drop everything and come around. And that might be a family member, like a partner, like a spouse, like John. It might be a child. It might be a parent. It might be a partner that you're not married to, or a good friend, or a neighbor, you know, just whoever you feel is the right person to make these decisions. In order for the document to be valid, it typically has to have 2 witnesses, or it has to be notarized by a notary public. So obviously, because we have this fear of litigation in the US, a doctor's going to want to see that your signature on this document has been verified in some way, either verified by the witnesses or verified by a notary public. And the person who signs as a witness or notary public is saying, this person signed this, I verified their identity, I know who they are. And then they can if the document's questioned, they can say, well, this person appeared to be in sound mind and sound body and capable of making decisions when they signed this document. Then once you have the document, you want to make sure that it's accessible. So for example, for John and I, we have patient portals with our healthcare practitioners that we go to a lot. I go to UCSD for my cancer treatment. So I've uploaded my my power of attorney for healthcare. I've uploaded it to my patient portals for various doctors, and I've done the same thing for John so that they have it online. Some states have online registries, but I don't think that the healthcare practitioners are used to the online registry to the point where they would go check the online registry to see who your power of attorney is. And then if you have someone like John's brother was in the hospital in November, I found it in the glove box today. We had a copy of his power of attorney for healthcare in our car so that if something happened and we needed to go visit him in the hospital, we had the document with us. We did the same thing when John's mom was at the end of her life. So
is she part of the process? This is the other one. It's Lucy.
Yes.
Lucy's a little more shy. Hi, say hi. She says, I make good decisions sometimes.
Lucy's very reliable.
Okay.
My only concern is that she would keep me alive too long, way past when it's a good idea.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good resources on the internet. What I tell people is you do not need to talk to a lawyer to have an advance directive. Caring Connections is really good. Caringinfo.org is really good. The American Bar Association has a really good website. And so a lot of these websites, you can go to the state that you live in and select a document that's valid in that state. You can, there's generally these kind of generic documents that are good in maybe 45 out of the 50 states. But there are a few states that have extra requirements. So you want to make sure that whatever document you download off the internet is selected for California or New York or Florida or wherever you're from.
So we're in a judicial system court-based system, and having everything laid up makes decision making a lot easier. And if you don't have it put out, then you have
So there
hangups.
are those cases, particularly when younger people are in a coma, that you get into a fight. So let's say you have a partner that you've been with for 10 or 15 years, and you're in a terrible car accident and you're in the hospital, and you've always told your partner, I don't want to be kept alive on a ventilator, and I don't want to be kept alive with artificial nutrition hydration. And so your partner wants to take you off life-sustaining measures, but your parents don't agree. And so they end up in court fighting over who's going to make the decision. And then what these court battles end up being is, did you have conversations with friends, family about what you wanted to have happen? And is there really reliable evidence about what your wishes were? And that can be difficult to get.
Like this, who's going to make the right decision? Lucy?
Neither one.
Or Desi?
Neither one.
Oh, they're so funny. Okay. Isn't it fun having dogs as part of your lecture, guys?
Okay.
Get out of here, guys.
They're fighting each other on the head. Yes. Okay. So let's talk also about the US concept of individual autonomy. So in a lot of other countries, it's very common for the doctor and the family members of an older person who's sick to make the decisions and maybe not even notify the patient about what's going on. The opposite is true in the US. It's always going to be the patient's right to get informed consent, to be told about treatment options, to be told about what's going to happen and what the options are, what the diagnosis is, what the prognosis is. And then the family can be part of that discussion if the patient consents. So here we put a big premium on independence, freedom of the person to decide for themselves, as long as they have the capability to do that. So that's the respect for the individual, the respect for their autonomy, and allowing those sick people or disabled people or older people to make their own decisions as long as they're capable and preserve their ability to do that.
And a legal term is capacity, right? And
Yes.
so that's what the doctor is going to be asking, or you're going to ask is, does the person have the capacity to make good decisions? So, alrighty.
So let's go down to the discussion. So we're going to talk about cultural diversity, which I think is a really interesting topic. We have a tremendous number of people getting to be 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 years old. So we have this enormous population that's incredibly diverse. So we need to figure out how we're going to provide services for this older population that kind of meet them where they are and respect their backgrounds and their beliefs and the needs that they have. So we
were talking about today, end of life care, in a facility or retirement.
So we need to meet people where they are and establish trust with them so that those older people that need support will have trust in their caregivers. And so think about in the US the demographic shifts that we're having. Hispanic older adults are soon going to be the largest group of older adults in the US, so we need to be able to understand how to meet their needs. We've given you a link to the APA Multicultural Aging Guide. I think if you go up,
it's right there.
And so they have some pretty interesting links in there. We need to think about our LGBTQ plus community. This is a big community, and unfortunately, especially people that are my age and older, we came up through the ranks when it was really hard to be out of the closet. It was really hard you couldn't get married. It wasn't legal yet. And so a lot of these people don't have support that they would need as they get older. They don't have strong family support. So we've got to really be mindful that this community has unique needs, and they are very vulnerable to discrimination and harassment when they go into senior housing or when they go into assisted living. And so we've got to educate our staff about how to be respectful and deal with the LGBTQ community in a respectful and supportive way.
So these are really great resources. It's for you to look at and just kind of be aware that you can go there to find lots of information. They're pretty extensive, and so yeah, it's just we love providing this for you, so you can click on any of these tabs, and then it's going to take you to a lot of information all about that.
So a lot of gerontologists are specializing now in one or more of these diverse communities. So looking at Black Americans and what do Black Americans need in terms of caregiving support and what's going to help them as they get older. We know that Black Americans have higher cancer death rates. We know that they've got higher Alzheimer's rates. So we need to reflect that when we're planning care for that community. We also know that racism causes stress, and that can lead to health issues. So we've got to make sure, and there's certainly been court cases that have come down the pipeline of employees and other patients in senior facilities, whether it's long-term care or assisted living, that have been guilty of racial harassment of Black Americans in those facilities. So we've really got to be on top of that if we're managing that type of facility. And don't forget our Asian elders. I mean, this is another growing group in the US, and we've got to figure out how to support Asian elders who in the past, say, 5 years or so, have been a target for hate crimes and have been really struggling to the point where people are afraid to go wait at the bus stop or afraid to go to the grocery store in certain communities because they're afraid that they're going to get attacked on the street.
So if you're an entrepreneur, this is an opportunity to convince them, hey, this is we've created this really, really, nice, safe community that recognizes your culture.
Yeah.
So this is what the prompt is all about here is, you're going to build this multi-unit facility, and you're going to be targeting the community that you place it in, and then you're going to make sure that you're sensitive to all the issues.
And being respectful of the people, if they speak English as a second language, hopefully having some people on your staff that speak the languages of the patients that you have, celebrating holidays that community celebrates, having the right food that reflects that community's culinary needs, furnishings, decorations, activities. There's so many different things that you can incorporate. And I also think it's important if you have a diverse community in your senior facility to educate each population about the other population so that you can build bridges between the different populations.
It's not monolithic. Oftentimes you'll have, multiple groups, So
yeah.
Kind of like California.
Okay,
all
so
right.
that's
awesome.
That's pretty much what I got to say.
Good job, attorney wife. All right. So, hey, guess what, man?
Right on.
Monday.
Yes.
What is that, right? Our USC basketball team is going crazy. And
go team.
Yeah. So let's support the ladies team, and hopefully we'll go all the way.
Get your CT1 in early so you can watch the game.
Exactly.
I've seen 2 times. One was 6 and one was 6:15. So make sure you watch it.
Yeah, and the CT2 is awesome. You're gonna see the power of making your money work for you and becoming super wealthy someday, like we almost did.
All right.
All right.
Well, have a great week.
All right. Peace.
Bye.